that's an artefact. Yeah, it's a lovely piece. Artefact scatters and scarred trees everywhere.
Hello, I'm David Calpolo. I'm right here making a movie called Proposition. Black and white is much better that we can work together because we can tell that true story.
Certainly grown to admire their cultural thinking in terms of the film industry when it comes to protecting culture. Our primary objective was so that the film company can still go ahead and our cultural heritage is protected. We have a history that needs preserving. We have a history that we'd like to share with the rest of Australia, and this Act enables us to promote Aboriginal culture. So I'm primarily here to advise as to where to go, how to go about it, whether it should occur or not, and whether it is culturally significant. For far too long, our conservation values have never rated high. Our historical values have never been rated high, and our cultural heritage values have never been rated high. All the previous histories of separation of cultures with our particular group, this is our opportunity, and this Act gives us this opportunity to educate, to let people know that we have a history.
Just the history of this country, I think it's really important, especially if we're always rewriting history in various ways, and film and literature and the media rewrites history probably more than any other medium. I have to sing Pearl's praises because she's been fantastic with explaining the significance of the locations, which we had no real idea about. I mean, we all, myself and the production designer, knew this, all this land has incredible history, and we even had a feeling about it. And I was pleased to know that a lot of the locations we were just drawn to had this incredible history and significance, and I kind of hoped that we were just picking up something and getting in sync with that.
The Proposition is a extremely large co-production with the UK. It's a film a script which is based on a script by Nick Cave, the musician, and it's an epic tale of the colonial period. There are a number of indigenous issues which are either part of the background or even part of the story. So obviously when we first came to Winton, we wanted to find somebody we could actually deal with and talk to about them. John had been very, very specific in terms of the British colonial attitude to stuff and that side of it. He'd done so much research on, but what we needed was also the indigenous input into how, the other side of this, there was another side of it. So, that was really that was where we started, wasn't it, really? Yes. It was really just going through the story and explaining what the characters were. And then we talked to Pearl about actually giving like an induction course in terms of indigenous culture, particularly to the actors who, obviously they fly in from Los Angeles and they're in a movie which is about, something very, very specific, a very specific period, which has so much history and so much culture, because, we're talking about, basically the forging of Australia from its, earliest times. So it's very important that people understand what the backstory, what those characters are coming from.
On the first day of shoot, the very first day of shoot, I'd asked the whole cast and the whole crew if they would all dust off for me. I was got them to pick up the pieces of dirt from the ground, dust down on their skin, under their armpits, their neck, down their hair, and down to the back, the whole front of them and the whole back of them. There's about 130, I think, 140 on that first day. Could even be more. Everybody, Guy Pearce, the Tom Budges, the Ray Winstons, every one of the actors. And, you know, and as I said to them, none of us would look stupid because we'll all look the same. We'll all be dust all over us, so. It's one, it's being respectful. Secondly, we didn't want to disturb any restless spirits. And thirdly, the cast and the crew had sort of said to me a bit later that they'd seen it as a wonderful bonding exercise, that it really brought the crew together because they'd all come from all different places around the world. So my whole session addressed the whole cast and crew. That was part of the Cultural Heritage Management Plan, is that we give the cast and the crew a bit of a historical background to the sites that they're filming in, and these are the things that we've asked them to be sensitive of and asked them to be very careful in terms of they go. This site here is called Skull Hole. It's listed as a picnic area for the local community. To the Indigenous community, we don't see it as a picnic hole, we see it as a massacre site. There is recorded history of Aboriginal people being herded up and taken over and were herded up over this rock system here, down here, and were all pushed over the edges, and that was by black troopers as well as by the white settlers and the police, and they were all shot down here in this hole. Because you know, it still makes me sick in the stomach every time I come here. Because I wanted to do some shots over here, and I said, well, it's too sensitive. So it was nothing to go and look for another spot. You know, it's such a big country, so you can imagine it's such a tight area that they were certainly confined to. And when you're talking about like dollies lined up along here, and it was amazing for me. I'm sort of like in awe in terms of the working environments and how they can, for such a big mass of manpower, can work in and not make any disturbance to anything that's around. And they constantly come up and bring me artefacts, so they're learning as well.
When Pearl first showed us all the chippings and the spear chippings, we would have had no idea what they would have been. We would have just driven straight over them, and you know, a lot of damage could have been done to the Indigenous artefacts in the area. So when you're oblivious to that, it's quite hard to know what you're looking for. And to have Pearl employed full-time on the film, it's been fabulous, because when she's with us, she can tell us what's what, and we stay away from it, and we work out a clear path in and out, so we're not harming too much.
So, you know, Pearl kind of was involved in all that in terms of briefing the actors, giving them an idea of the culture that they were actually entering, which is fantastic. And I mean, everybody loved it. These are things that, you know, there's no hardship in any of this. This is not something one should resist. You know, this is something that you should embrace, because it actually helps us in terms of telling the story. Because, you know, if you start making up stuff, you know, firstly you start alienating people, but secondly it doesn't work with the character, you know. So it's great for us, because this is all, you know, grist to the mill.
Nobody can now deny the fact we're not the original inhabitants here. So when I have evidence like that, I use these evidence in two ways. One is to teach our young people, secondly is to promote our culture, and thirdly is to preserve, conserve, restore, protect, maintain and monitor. And that is the reasons why, like I support the Cultural Heritage Act in its current form, and I know that it'll certainly go through a lot of teething problems, but as it currently stands now at the moment, it gives me that grace and power to say and educate the white community to, to things that are not lost. Because even in my generation, white society tried to convince me that our culture no longer exists. It exists. It's here. We've just got to know how to promote it, how to retain it, and how to, how to restore it and renew it. What's the strengths and or the positives about the Cultural Heritage Management Plan anyway? I mean, what does that mean?
Oh no, I mean it's fantastic, and we were relieved that it existed and that we got onto it soon enough, because to me, I mean, we couldn't believe, asking around initially, that I mean, I thought it's common sense. This is not our land, and even if it is owned, so-called owned by someone, there's history there that needs to be addressed. So thankfully there was someone to help us go through the right approach, and this is what we've been trying to do, and I hope we've succeeded, is try and go about it the right way, and because it's mutual respect that has to come out, and to win trust and get support and have the actors working and the locations working, it's got to be a positive collaboration.
Like, we just grew together, and we just protected together, and that was right from the very first go.